Hello, fellas. Um, Very quickly, I'm just going to explain that I wasn't going to make this video, to be honest, but I actually haven't seen like anyone else make one. Maybe I'll check YouTube after this, but I still haven't seen a video on like what the meta is for this season, so I thought I would very quickly make one for you after about a week of it was about a week. Yeah, it's been about a week for Onslaught being released. Anyway, that being said, let's get into it. V4, I think it's a decent pick. It's fallen out of meta since the nerfs to the breakthrough TDs, but still is still a very good tank. IMO for this mode. It is annoying to pen, especially if you're not going for Cupola for whatever reason. The gun's okay, ability's still decent. Nothing really wrong with it. 268, it's either meta or decent pick. Um, I think it's still very good for some maps. So I'll put it in decent pick for now, but still I would put it along the very top of decent picks. IMO 277. It's pretty meh. Ability is just it's okay. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it, but there are better tanks for unless you're like YOLOing a flank. Like maybe, but like an E50M probably does this better. A 430U does this better. Probably even a 140 will do this better, and you just have better abilities with all of them. So yeah, same with the i7 basically. i7's is still decent for some positions if you just need a tank that can just go instantly hold down, but most of the time I think it's kind of just underwhelming. The ability, DPM, it's just kind of meh. Uh, Again, same with this, and same with this STB2, ST2. Sorry. Both of these the same thing really. I mean, they're a bit slow. Their armor's not very good. I mean, this one's decent, obviously the armor, but if you when you're picking this tank, you're normally gonna go up against an E4, and he will just auto pen your turret. So not great. IS4, like it's probably on the edge of pretty meh. It could maybe go into decent picks because of the armor is just better than I think all of them, but I still think the ability is just not there yet. Um, 430U, I would say it's a decent pick for sure. It could even be meta, possibly, but with the buffs to the E50M and 2.0, the E50M kind of has just kind of leapfrogged this tank, so there's not really any reason that much to pick it other than I mean you have like a lower profile, so you can play like some positions where any 50 cannot. 140, it's meta right now. After the buffs, it's crazy the DPM. You have is it like what 3,300 DPM or something silly? Let me just go to quickly check all the decks. I mean, I have 4K DPM with standard equipment or a standard rammer, so insane. And you have the inspirability as well, so you make that reload insane. Kid 1, I think it was very meta last season, but because of the nerfs to strike, where you can't get abilities as easily, it is now just a bit weaker. It's still obviously the DPM's insane, the ability's useful, the armor's okay, but yeah, it's not like in the crazy meta right now. LT is a decent pick. Again, there's nothing really wrong with it. It has the plain ability. The only thing is like the shells are kind of meh, I guess. Like the pen's not amazing. AP is not amazing. The shell velocity is kind of bad. RHM is kind of just better than it, but it does have armor and can not be penned with HE in the front at least, so that's a benefit. V5, I'm pretty sure you can play this tank, so I will put it in pretty meh. I mean, I'd actually even put it in don't use, to be honest. If you want this tank, why not just play 268? Yeah, great, you have a turret, but it's like slow as hell, so like, who cares, really? You have no armor, your pen's great, cool. You just, I don't see why you'd play this tank. T62A, I don't know if you can play this tank. I think you can, but again, Like, why would you play this over a 140? The 140 just destroys this tank now. Hopefully, it will get a buff soon, so it'll be playable. But right now, it's poo. Jaegeru, it could be decent or it could be pretty meh. I think an E4 is better than it because it has a turret, and a usable turret at that. But the Jaegeru is still definitely playable. You know, hitting people for 1,000, and they'll probably hit you back for 500, 600. So you always outtrade people, but you know it is immobile, or pretty immobile. It doesn't have a turret, so yeah. Grill, it depends on how you play it. If you're playing it just and you're just gonna sit at the back forever and ever and ever, like it'll be great for you, but you know, not great for your team. So I'll put it in high up, I guess. I'll put it like there because it's still definitely usable. Especially on like maps like Cliff and other maps where you can just snipe at range. But at some point you'll probably have to go in unless you're just shooting everything. Panzer 7 don't use. There are just better tanks now. Foreshadowing, this tank. Mouse is even better than it. Everyone's firing cold in Onslaught. Your armor basically means nothing, especially because you'll be fighting E4s that will just go straight through your mantlet. So there is no point really in playing it. Mouse is a decent pick. It's pretty close to being meta, I would say. But there is a thing that exists right now, and that thing is kind of just the meta. E100, it's probably just it's a decent pick. Obviously, these tanks are situational for different maps like Ensk and Himmel and things like that. Obviously, you're not going to be playing these tanks on, I don't know, Live Oaks or something, because you need the mobility, right? But if you don't need the mobility, then yeah, they're great tanks. E50M, it's meta. After the buffs, it's kind of crazy. Especially with Inspire, you can get like a 3-second reload or something like this, and your DPM is just insane. So yeah, I would. Basically, you can play this on any map as well. So if you need one tier 10 to play, then I would pick an E50M. Leo, again, it's playable for sure. Abilities, pretty decent. Strike, obviously, it's not as powerful as it was last season, but it's still pretty good, I would say. So yeah, RHM is just meta. Obviously, it's just the best light tank. You have the plane, you have the pen, you have the DPM is pretty decent as well. It's just a decent tank. E3, this tank is just kind of meh. It's just really slow. It's better than it. It's worse than a Jaeger, I would say. But it's just too immobile, really. I mean, obviously the armor is insane, but the amount of times you can use your armor effectively is small. I mean, you can go on a window on Himmel, you can play rails with an E3 on Ensk. It's fine. It's just, I think E4 is better than it because you can move in an E4. Speaking of E4, I think it's still meta. With all the Type 5s around, it's nice to have all that penetration, on the E3 and E4. But with E4, you get a turret, you're faster, and these things matter in Onslaught, especially with the top speed bonus with the ability. You do go pretty fast, and you go pretty fast backwards as well. So you can reverse around a corner pretty quickly compared to the E3, which is quite slow. I don't know what to put the E5. Like, all of these tanks are kind of the same. Hopefully, sending a pattern with the abilities. It's either pretty meh or just don't use. I mean, obviously the DPM is good, but an E50M will just kill your DPM. So the K91, so a 140. So there isn't really a reason to play this. You're like, cool, you have DPM, but you have better options for DPM, so why would you not play them? You can't really play a Ridgeline because you have a massive cupola. There's not really much reason to play this tank. I mean, I'd put it at the very end, it's pretty decent, to be honest. M5Y, they're decent. just because of the gun depression. That's basically it. The 12 degrees of gun depression that it gets, it's very usable on maps like Sand River, maybe Miro, but just maps where you need gun depression. Other than that, obviously, it's probably going to be don't play. On maps like Ensk and Szanki, probably. You probably just don't want to play this tank. But maps where you need gun depression, obviously, it's very nice to have. T57 Heavy is a decent pick for sure. I mean, obviously the DPM is pretty still strong for having a clip. You have 3k base, so being able to deal 1.6k damage in what was it? 6 seconds? Yeah, 6 seconds. Am I going crazy? Yeah, 6 seconds, right? It's very, very nice. And you can outtrade some things that shoot you back. Pattern, it's pretty meh. I mean, even with the buffs, it's like maybe creeping into decent picks, but I mean, like, why would you just not really play Ascent instead? I mean, the armor on the upper plate's like better, but most people just are firing gold, so they just won't care. So, why would you pick it? M60 again, it's kind of just a worse scent, but it's still obviously playable. If your team does need an Inspire medium tank, then it's still decent. You have a Master Cupola, you have camera rating, but you have the ability, and your gun's pretty good, your DPM's pretty good, your mobility's good, so there's not really much to argue with. I don't know whether to put this in don't use or just put it in pretty meh, to be honest, because it's just kind of just worse. I mean, you can have some funny moments, I guess, with the derp gun, but consistency is key, I feel. So I think the RHM will just be better in the long run. And, I've never played it with the derp gun, but I wouldn't imagine it's like amazingly accurate in Onslaught. So I don't know. I put it in don't use for now. Wash B is meta. The ability is still very good if you know how to use it well. The idea that you're using it, you do 2 shots or 3, and then you pop your ability, so it's level 3, because at level 1 it's just not really worth, unless obviously it's the first play of the game and you're crossing something and you need that HP back, or a little bit of HP, because it's 35% heal back compared to 70%, so you're doubling your how much you heal back if you wait until level 3. 50B, it's like pretty meh to like decent pick. Honestly, for me, I'd rather just pick a Batchat. Like, I see people picking this tank on Ensk, and I don't understand. Like, why would you pick this over a T57 Heavy, or just playing something else? You're very squishy. Like, very squishy. So, like, on Ensk, you kind of need not squishy tanks. Especially people with playing time 5s. If you try and run away with them, they will intuition, and they'll shoot your ass, and you will lose 1,000 health. So personally for me, I think a T57 Heavy beats the tank unless you're playing it on Cliff. But again, I'd rather just play a Batchat or a Fosh B, because I think the abilities are just better. But it's still okay, I would say. AMX, it's pretty meh to probably don't use, probably, because you're not really using this tank for height, because you have, this. The DPM is meh. The ability is pretty bad. So, I think I'll put it in don't use for now. And Sheridan's probably at the top of don't use because it still has the ability. But chat, we will go meta, I think. I don't see as many people using it in like OLS and the top competitions on most maps now, but obviously it still has its place on Cliff, on Klondike, some other maps, Miro. You still have mobility. You actually have good DPM with the ability, making a reload like 15 seconds. You have the camera rating if you're using low noise, which you probably should be on maps like Miro and stuff. So just a very good tank, really. AMX is probably just pretty meh. I mean, it's just a worse batcher, but you have a plane. Would I play this over a over a Sheridan? Probably, I would. But I mean, if you use Sheridan with small gun, the DPM is pretty good. So maybe we'll just put them both into here. Actually, EBR, it's meta. I mean, nothing else can do what the EBR can do. It can spot. It has a nice ability. You go at 92 kilometers an hour. Like for maps where you need scouting, Rocco, Miro, other open maps that I'm forgetting, it's just the best, right? FV, as much as I hate to say it, it's either like decent pick or pretty high and pretty meh. If you're using it correctly, it can do very good. It can do very well. But I think a lot of people just are picking this tank to troll, and they just, they don't really think about what they're doing. So if you use it correctly, I think it's probably in the decent picks. But for now, I'll just put it in pretty meh. Badger, I think it's pretty meh. You can use it on probably Westfield, but that's really it, to be honest. So I don't know if you will ever really pick this tank ever, other than for that map. Though I'd probably put it on like the higher pick for them maps. But I mean, if you're playing this map, I don't know, on Himmel or Ensk or I don't know, Live Oaks or like some maps, it's just like, why would you pick this tank? If you can't go hold down in it, there's no point to pick a Badger. So like Westfield is kind of like what you would like. But other maps, I think most maps in the game, you're not getting any use out of the armor, because everything will just pen you anyway. Because most people, if you're going to take it to like Himmel and Ensk, people are taking E4s and they'll just go through your tank like butter. So what's the point? Esconk, I think I don't understand why people use this tank in 2025. If this was like 3 years ago, I would understand. But it doesn't have DPM. It doesn't have speed. It doesn't have good armor. It's slow. Why would you pick this tank over an E5? I don't understand. Most people are firing gold, and most of that is going to be probably heat ammo. So your turret means nothing. Your cupola and your roof means nothing. I mean, they can go through your turret. Like, I don't understand why people are picking S-Conks. Can opener. I think this tank is really on the top of pretty meh. The ability is not good, but you have insane turret armor and your DPM is okay. If you need something to hold a position in hold down, I think this tank is better. Like Siegfried line, on the hold down on where you normally go in like randoms where you fight the heavy tanks and stuff. I don't know what line it'd be. Maybe like in Onslaught, it'd probably be like 4 line or something. You're basically unkillable. Like Type 5s can't pen you in turret. I don't think even E3s could pen you. So it's a very good tank for just holding position to spot, but I think most of the time in randoms you won't be using it effectively. So I think there are better tanks than it, but if you need that strong turret armor, I mean there's probably nothing really better, especially with gun depression. Scent is meta. Obviously the ability is very good. The tank is very good. It has good DPM, good ammo, mobility's good. Camo is like underwhelming, but yeah, mostly using this tank for the Inspire and the gun depression and the DPM. And I don't think there's anything better than this tank for them reasons. Concept 5, I mean, this used to be don't use, but after the buffs, it's okay. I still wouldn't pick it over Leo just because of the DPM. I think it's like 400 DPM difference. I wish I could check in game quickly, but Wargaming have made their UI crap. So it's 3.7 in a Leo. And it's like 3.3 in a concept. Yeah, just under 3.3. And I'm using Bond RAM on both of them. Though I have Leo with vents as well. I have concept with vents as well. So, yeah, I would just say it's still a worse Leo. Obviously, the alpha damage difference is nice, so I would probably put it like there, because I still think it's better than some of these tanks, but I'd rather just pick a K91 or a Leo for sniping plus the strike ability. But you know, if you for some reason don't have any of them tanks and you think you need a sniping medium, it's decent. Manticore obviously don't use. It doesn't have any DPM, so why would you play it? Cool, you have the best camo, I think, out of any of the Titan light tanks, but that will not make much of a difference in this mode. A, because you have planes that don't care about your camo. B, there's an EBR that will be pushing you at 90 kilometers an hour, so there's no point. FV, the newest thing you can play. I think it's just the worst FV IMO. Like, if you're gonna pick this over this, I don't understand. Like, cool, you have slightly better armor, but your armor basically means nothing. Everything is firing cold. And you have a heal ability anyway, so sorry, that was my Discord. So I don't understand why you'd pick it, because you can just heal back all of your health anyway. So yeah. WZ, I think it's pretty meh. You could put it into decent picks because the ability is still good. Obviously the pen is good and everything, but it's on the probably upper edge, pretty meh. I mean, like obviously people are using it on Ensk, in like OLS and stuff like that to go like a pretty decent tank in the corner on the top or on the zero line. But most of the maps, there isn't really a point to using it. I think you'd rather use a 268 because of the mobility. Though, I mean, obviously they're different ability, but I think it's just, I'd rather just pick an E4 for most maps. But there are some cases where this tank might be a bit better. BZ, I think it's meta, but only for some maps. You know, you can use it on almost every map, but I think there'll be better picks. But I think it's obviously still meta on Cliff because I mean, it just has a lot of hit points. It has gun depression. The gun's okay with the modifiers. And you hit for 650, which is quite nice. So, you know, it's okay, but yeah, it's just for some maps you just wouldn't obviously play it. 5A, I mean, it's just again, all these tanks are basically the same. It's the same as a 277, but with cupolas. The DPM's nicer. The gun is probably pretty nice in Onslaught, but I don't understand why you'd pick it over an E50M if you want that DPM increase. 1-to-1, again, I mean, the ability's good. Obviously, it has Inspire, but your DPM is now lacking compared to our 140. I mean, obviously, hitting for 440 is nice, but that DPM on the 140 is just insane. When you have 3.5, I mean, I have standard equipment on this and the 140, and it's 500 difference in DPM, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. 1-to-1B, it's kind of the same. I mean, it's probably like a decent pick or pretty meh. Obviously, you have them amazing heat rounds. And the DPM is, I think, pretty similar to a 1-to-1. I have 3.7 compared to, but that's with a bond rammer, so I would imagine it probably equals out to being the same. And this man is messaging me too much. Let me put streamer mode on. I apologize. I didn't think I'd be messaged this much. Right, okay, there we go. Anyway. What tank was it? Yeah, 1-to-1B. I think I'd still put it over the 1-to-1. Because of the heat pen and the APCR standard. But I mean, I'd probably put it like there, probably. Something like this. WZ light tank, even after the buffs, I don't understand why you'd play it. It's just, I mean, it's just not worth it, IMO. There are just better tanks if you want to spot. So I don't really understand why you'd pick it. Hori, it's probably pretty meh. I mean, I think a 268 is kind of just better than it now, after it got nerfed. But it's still okay. I mean, obviously you have the 360 AP pen, your gun's decent, you have a bit of armor, though I don't think it'll be bouncing much because everything will be firing gold. So, you know, you don't really have armor, but you might pull off some bounces now and again. Uh, type, I mean, let me put that up to the top. Type, again, it's just the same as the other heavies. I think an M5Y is better than it because of the DPM. Is the DPM better? I don't even remember. Where's my type? Where's my type? Where's my DPM? 3.3, and the M5Y is 3.3. So, I mean, you have the same DPM. I just think the ability is a bit meh on the Type 71, the like cooldown mechanic. So, and it's a bit faster than the M5Y, so that's what I would pick. Right, now to the most new buff tank, Type 5. It is just meta right now. Put a bit of like there with the E4 next to them. Yeah, I think that's a good list. I think. Anyway, yeah, Type 5, after the buffs, its HE pen is just crazy. The armor is also crazy. Obviously, you can still get penned a lot, but the mouse will probably be basically penned about the same. Especially with the amount of E4s firing you. It's like Type 5 is probably, I mean, it's like still 50-50. Which one is better armor wise, but you have very similar armor. Your alpha damage hitting for 700 is a lot nicer when you're trading with E4s, you know? Especially if they don't use ability, you basically hit them back for um, what you're hitting them back for, and you don't need to use the ability to. So you will eventually win on just health points alone if he doesn't use ability. So yeah, it's just kind of is just the meta. STB is just pretty meh. Obviously, the DPM and the gun depression is nice to have, but the Scent's just better. You don't have to be annoyed with the new mode or the siege mode or whatever it's called. So I'd rather just pick a Scent, and it's faster. The ammo is nicer. You have that HE pen as well to pen light tanks, and the STB just doesn't have it. VZ, I would say it's. I mean, obviously the double gun, it's don't use. But with a single, it's probably just in here. Again, I don't know why you'd pick it over a 5A or a 277. I mean, the alpha damage, I guess, but I'd rather just pick something else. I don't really understand why you'd ever pick this tank, to be honest. I mean, you could even say, like, all of these should be in pretty. Right, these. I mean, honestly, that should probably go down there. Thinking about it. Yeah, I'll just keep that down there. But yeah, I don't see why you'd pick any of these tanks really over this tank over an IS-7. The armor's just so much better. And if you want DPM, like why would you not pick like a 5A or a 277? And then it just goes, why not just pick an E50M? Really. So yeah, TVP. I get a lot of hate always when I put this TVP in here, but I do not understand why you pick a TVP. I just don't understand. The heat pen is ass. The APCR pen is ass. It's a big box of health. HE will just wreck it. It's big. It has no camera rating. The gun is still not great. And I just don't rate it at all. Like the clip damage, I guess, is good. You know, I don't know the reload with the ability. Let me quickly calculate it. Maybe where's my TVP? So my reload is 23 seconds. That's without. Well, that is with vents, and the ability reduces it by 50%. So you'll have a 11.5-second reload, which is cool, but I'd rather just have a batch out that reloads for 15 seconds, and you have the ability of camo rating, the speed's better. You have good heat rounds for dealing with Type 5s and E4s. I don't see why you'd pick a TVP. I mean, like, if you really want, you can put it into pretty meh, but I dislike it a lot. Tessac, it's pretty okay. I'd probably put it over an AMX just because the ability of like spraying down a radio tower or an artillery strike with the HE and just getting that one little reset to stop them getting a strike. It's decent for that, but the HE clip is still funny to use when you fight RHMs, but again, consistency, I'd say RHM is just better over a longer period of games. Bliska, it's probably a decent pick, or maybe meta. On Westfield, I think it's still meta. There are still a lot of use cases for it. But I'll put it on like the very top of decent picks, because you're not probably going to pick up on every map, but it's still very good. Obviously, you have amazing DPM at the close ranges. Your armor is okay, where it might bounce something, and the ability is also good. TP, I would put this up just below or above the Ice 4. I mean, the gun hitting for 750 is nice, but like you'll be fighting Type 5s, and I don't know if you'll enjoy yourself with, was it 310 pen or 315, something like this. What was it? Yeah, 317. So you have like a 50-50 chance of going through a Type 5 armor unless you hit the viewports. So, yeah. But it can be used on Westfield and some other maps where you need gun depression and hit points. It's less mobile than a BZ. That's why the BZ is up here and this is down here. But it's still an okay tank for them maps where you need a little bit of gun depression and you can slowly peek on a ridge line and just peek up, shoot one, go back. CS is meta, I would say. It is just a very fast tank. The ability is good. With the Onslaught modifiers, the gun is now decent. So nothing really not to like. I mean, obviously the upper plate's also auto ricochet from non-heat shells. So it's just a decent tank. For maps like Westfield and other maps where you need to go catch a position quickly. I mean, Cliff, another one. Stuff. I don't think for the random queue or duo queue, a serve is good. I don't think it is, because your team has to really play around the serve, and you will not get your team to play around the serve. So, especially with light tanks being a thing, you're also just going to be spotted the entire time if they do. Because I mean, some people pick it for Sand River, which is fine. Some people pick it for Westfield, which is also fine. But it also can you have to play around the serve. You can't just not play around it, because then you'll have a tank out of the game completely. Udez, it's probably like a decent pick. Maybe pretty meh IMO. I think Ascension is better than it, unless you need a tank with better turret armor, but most of the time it's like 50-50. So, I mean, maps for Westfield, if you're sitting in E1 or A6, it's decent. But, the gun's pretty meh. The shell velocity is horrible. But, Sand River, Miro, Westfield, probably decent map for it. Gran, it's pretty meh. I mean, it's just, after the buff, it has, okay pen now, but, why would you pick it exactly? Like, I don't understand why you'd pick it over a 50B even, or a T-57 Heavy. I mean, let me just move this 50B up to, like, above all the heavy tanks with the meh ability. Minotauro, probably just pretty meh. I mean, the ability is nice, obviously, but it just doesn't have a lot of health even. How was it, like 2.6? Which is not really a lot. You know, is it 2.6? Is it 2.8? I think it's 2.8. Which is, you know, basically the same as the RHM, which is crazy to think about. I don't really understand why you'd pick this tank. After the, you know, the Cupola rework, the Cupolas are very weak. E4s you'll be fighting most of the time with this tank as well, so I don't really understand why you'd pick it. Rhino is just, don't pick. I mean, why would you pick this tank? It has crap DPM. The turret armor means nothing against gold rounds. You have the weak point on the top of the gun. Yeah, that's really it. Same for the Progetto. You don't really have any armor. You can get overmatched in the side by most guns. DPM is crap. Yeah, that's all there is to say. Yeah, that's the finished list. I won't put them in order more than they already are. But you know, let me know your comments. Obviously, I think all these tanks are not able to play, so maybe I missed one of the tanks. But you know, put it in the comments, I guess. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and catch you in the next video.